Today's episode of Chat and Chew is sponsored by Be Positive Productions and Multimedia Studios, LLC. I like to think of imagination as something akin to a superpower. Used in the right context for good, it can help bolster our aspirations and propel us closer to our goals. We visualize the outcome of our accomplishments and work toward attaining said thing. However, when used to propagate untruths, reality can become distorted. We no longer know what's real and what's not. The more often we repeat something to ourselves, the more likely it is to become our truth, and the lines between perception and reality begin to blur. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap.
The Other Mother became a recognized national holiday in the early 1900s and is celebrated on the second Sunday in May. It's a day we set aside once a year to celebrate mothers and their contribution to society. As we here at Fathers Forever join in the celebration, we want to focus on stepmoms. We have titled this podcast, The Other Mother. The title Stepmoms has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years and probably will be still around until the end of time. But there's a blended family, and the father remarries or chooses another female partner. There is now another mother in the family. Please welcome Cerise Hardrow Bird in our studio today as we discuss some of the challenges, the success of being a stepmother, or the newer term, the bonus mom. I know some of you are tuning in on your lunch break, so let's chat and chew while you do.
Please make sure you follow us on Facebook, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, hit the bell to activate notifications that will remind you when we're on. Please be sure to leave us a comment to let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear from you.
Hello everyone, this is Glenn Warren, founder and executive director of Fathers Forever. I want to share an alarming reality with you. 627,000 fathers are incarcerated that have kids under 18. Now, there are 56,000 moms incarcerated who have kids under 18. The reality is there are so many more fathers incarcerated than moms. This is why I Am a Father Forever book exists. Now, I need your help. I am inviting you to help us get this book into as many fathers incarcerated as possible. Here's how it works. For your donation of $22, we will provide a book to an incarcerated father. Thank you in advance for helping Fathers Forever heal fathers and save families.
Cherise Hargrove Bird is founder and CEO of the Queen Mode LLC. Cherise has a bachelor's degree in human services and is currently finishing her master's degree in social work at Sacred Heart University. Miss Bird is a certified peer support specialist in North Carolina and Connecticut, recovery coach, a rap facilitator, transformational life coach, and motivational speaker. Cherise has over 16 years of experience as a CPSS and an advocate for those on the journey of recovery from substance use disorder and co-occurring mental health conditions. Cherise has over 23 years in the journey of recovery. She also serves as a trainer in a variety of capacities within the recovery industry. Cherise has personal and professional experience in the areas of domestic violence, adolescent and childhood trauma, incarceration, homelessness, substance use disorder, mental health diagnosis, parenting, furthering education, various forms of meditation, spiritual development, peer support services, recovery coach services, transformational life coaching, and motivational speaking. Cherise has dedicated her life to the journey of recovery and spiritual development. Her goal is to utilize her past and present experiences to assist others to become healthy in the areas of their lives that they choose and to be a guide for them along their journey. Cherise's favorite quote is, "Don't give up before the miracle happens." And now joining us on Chat and Chew, Miss Cherise Hargrove Bird.
Well, good afternoon, Miss Cerise. In our audience, our podcast today, I want to welcome you.
Thank you.
And we have a lot of stuff we want to cover tonight.
Okay.
And I think we're going to have you come back
All right.
in a couple of weeks, and we're going to do another, because you got so much stuff going on, and it's such a major resource in the community. So today, we're really going to talk about, because this is May,
Yeah.
as you know, Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of, people struggle sometimes with the loss of their mother during this time, But I want to talk about something that I think is very important. And we do a lot of work in the community with men and women, moms and dads. And so we have titled this segment, The Other Mother, where we're really going to talk about stepmoms and what they do, what are some of the, we can have that discussion. But before we really get into that, I want you to explain to us, to tell us your why. Why do you do the stuff that you do, and what's your motivation?
Well, for me, the reason why I do what I do is because I believe that my past and present experiences have been designed not only for me to learn and grow from, but for me to also be able to share those things with others and help them along their journey. Because that's what life is. It's a journey,
Yes,
and everyone is in a different place, in a different phase. I believe in, supporting individuals, networking with people. And that's why I do it. I do it because all of the things that I've gone through, I believe that I've gone through them and been able to come out of those situations so that I'm able to help others.
Right. Tell me some of the people who have inspired you the most. And I know I didn't ask you this question on purpose.
That's
I want you to think the first thing that comes to your mind, who are some of the people living, local or national or living or deceased who have really inspired you the most?
A good friend of mine, Linda Perry, has been inspiration for me since I first came onto the journey of recovery. And she was someone who saw me beyond the condition that I was in, and somebody that believed in me past what I could see for my own self. And I believe that in order for an individual to grow, you need to have people like that in your life. And she was one of my biggest inspirations. She's still an inspiration to me today. My mom, I've watched her, go through the struggle of substance use and come out of that and now living a successful life. And so she's also has been an inspiration to me. I've encountered a woman here, Dr. Rita Anita Linger, from RCNC. I aspire to be half as good as she is in what we do here. In this work. And my motivation, honestly, is my children.
Okay.
My youngest daughter is here with me. She'll be 16 in July. And I want to leave a legacy behind my name, right? And I remember one time someone had asked me, what do you want people to say about you at your funeral?
Right.
And that thing really resonated with me because during that time in my life, I was in a dark place, right? And if I would have passed in that moment, it would not have been good, right? And so because I've had the opportunity to overcome some challenges in my life and continue to work on some things for my own self and my own growth, my motivation is when I leave here, I want to know that I've done a good job with what God has given me, right? And for how he has kept me through all of those situations. And so I think about that on a daily basis in the work that I do.
Great. I read over some of your resume. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Very impressive. Okay, walk us through some of your resume.
I've been on the journey over 23 years now. I've been in the field about 23 years as well. I have a bachelor's degree in human services. I'm finishing my master's degree right now in social work. I'm a certified peer support specialist in the state of Connecticut as well as here in North Carolina. I'm a RAP facilitator. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a recovery coach and a life transformational coach.
Wow.
As well.
Good, because you bring a lot to the table. And that's why we talk about this segment about your motherhood and your own personal relationship with your daughter, but also being a stepmom.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of walk us through, some of the. First of all, what do you think about the word stepmom? How did that resonate to you?
I really don't care for it. However, I think what's important is how does the child identify you in their life? And I think that's what matters most. So if stepmom is something that's suitable for them, then okay. My stepchildren call me Miss Sharice. So.
Now, do you think that's kind of semi-formal, or is it, I know a lot of people, they do that. They don't call them mom. Right. I do have talked to a friend of mine that she kind of got upset when her kids call the other mother mom. She didn't necessarily like that, which I understand. But when the kids are calling you Miss, is that informal? Is it another way? I know people do it for the lack of.
Right. I think it's more of a sign of respect.
Right.
But I think a woman's approach should, for me at least, my approach to it was, I want to be what you need me to be. Right? I'm not your mom. Right? Mm-hmm. I know I'm not your mother. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to replace her in any type of way either. So I want to give you the opportunity to identify who you want me to be in your life and what capacity you will allow me to be there in.
Right. And some people have, they don't call Miss, they may call you another nickname, which, like, to me, that's maybe not appropriate either, because there should be a respect. Instead of calling you Mary, that's probably to me not. But those kind of some of the things that I used to kind of, wonder what's the proper way. And I guess it's individual and what works out for you and your family, you and your kids. Now, do you call your stepkids when you introduce them? Do you say, "Hey, this is Mary, my stepdaughter"? How do you introduce her?
They're my children.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all my children.
Exactly.
And that's just how I view it, right? Because when you're with me, I'm responsible for you. I'm held responsible to make sure that your well-being is good and safe. And so that's what I do for my own children. Right. So I don't separate them.
Right. I remember, I'm married and my wife Angela has a son. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was first had to introduce him to somebody, I struggled with what should I say? Did I say this is my stepson? Yes. Or did I say this is my son? Mm-hmm. And I finally said this is my son. Yeah. Now, at the time they knew I didn't have another child, so it's like, okay, did you have a child I didn't know about it? Then I can't explain to them, this is my stepson. But I feel the same way. I will not, to this day when I introduce him, I say, this is my son. So how is the relationship with the birth mom? How was that?
For me,
how was that? Yeah.
I'm always looking forward to be good because that's what I would want. I'm going to be good, right? Because at the end of the day, my focus is on the well-being of the children. Mm-hmm. And so when I would address her, I would come from that place. Mm-hmm. She wasn't very receiving of that. Mm-hmm. And I think it was more because the children were more willing to talk to me about personal things. Mm-hmm. And for me, as long as they're talking, like with my daughter, she has a therapist. I just need you talking to somebody. Right. And if you're not comfortable talking to me and you're comfortable talking to so-and-so, I'm okay with that. Because I need for you to be getting well and doing what you need to do to take care of your emotional and mental well-being. And so for the birth mother, for her, it was kind of intimidating that her daughters, and when they're female children, it's definitely, something, but it was kind of an intimidating factor that the children were willing to talk to me about certain things and not her. And so my response to it was, I'm here to collaborate with you, right? And so I want to be a part. This is a team, right? Because when you have multiple parents, we now have a team building situation going on, and so helping her to understand that I'm just a part of the team. We're in this thing together to ensure the well-being of the child, and I think it's important for the mom or the other mother to be able to understand that and reiterate that when having that interaction and trying to build that rapport.
Okay, so now you have, so you got two parents, mom and dad, and now you have, if you got married again, you got a stepdad. If she got married, you got a stepson. So now you got four parents.
Yeah.
So four parents working together should be double
what
the kids are getting than the two parents.
Right.
Oftentimes, though,
it's not.
It's not happening because of the friction that that's whatever's going on between the adults and the kids. Instead of them getting a double what they should have gotten, they're getting this tension, and it often, parents, comes out in other ways for the kids.
And I think what's important is being able to communicate effectively, and also being able to set aside whatever it is the adults have going on. Somebody has to be the bigger person, and understand that children feel everything. They may not speak on it, but they can sense when mommy doesn't like the other mommy, or when daddy doesn't like the other daddy, right? Kids can sense all of that. And what happens when that dynamic is taking place, you're forcing them, not knowingly half the time, to pick a side.
Right.
And that is not fair.
Right. You put the kids in the middle.
You put them in the middle of a fight that they did not ask for.
Wow. Yeah. Years ago, I wrote a book called "When Love Is Not Enough: The Breaking of a Child."
Yeah.
And I talk about that from just two parents' experience.
Yeah.
But when you look at that from the step parents, that could be double the trouble, because now there's four different attitudes, there's four different problems that could create, and now the kids is caught in the middle of the fight, and that's devastating for the kids. Were there any unrealistic expectations that were placed on you by yourself, by your stepkids, by your kids?
I think they weren't unrealistic. For my daughter, it's just me and her, and she's accustomed to it just being me and her. So when this began to take place, it was a huge adjustment for her. And one of the expectations that was in place was that she was supposed to just fall in line with this. Right. And so then me and him had to have a conversation on that, because what's happening is we're trying to blend our family. This is a child who's used to everything of her own, right? She's not used to having to share her time, share her room, share her personal belongings, or even be bothered.
Or even share you.
Or even share me, for that matter. And so being able to have that conversation to diminish the unrealistic expectation was what was important, for me, because I don't want to feel like I'm being torn in two, different directions, and then being able to have a conversation with her, as well, and with him.
How did that work out? Did you guys?
We did okay with it. It took some time. It was challenging at first. Especially because of the space we were living in, it was my townhome, and it was just fit for me and my daughter. And so, after a while, we had to move into a bigger space. And I'm like, we need a bigger place, because when the girls come, they need to have their own, And so I think what's important going into this, when you're going into a relationship, knowing that the other person has children, I think that the most important thing is understanding that you have a responsibility to make space for them. And that's in whatever capacity that's needed. And you have a responsibility to go in really proving to them that you're here for them. Because if I love you, If I love your dad, I'm going to love everything attached to him. Right. And so really trying to help them understand that I'm not just here for him, but I'm here to support you in whatever capacity you would need me to.
Yeah. So as far as the kids was concerned, when there was a problem, how did y'all problem solve? Your daughter feeling, now she's crowded. Or your stepkids now coming over, and now they're sleeping on the floor or on the couch instead of in the bed. How did y'all resolve that? And I know eventually you moved into a bigger place.
We did. So in the beginning, when we knew they were coming, we just made the living room just as comfortable as possible. Everything they needed was down there. And sometimes Diamond would open up her room and different things, but again, she's a very loner, and half the time she don't want to be bothered with me. But I think for us, what the biggest thing that worked for us was being able to communicate and talk, and try to make the best of the weekends that when they did come, as comfortable as possible for them.
Right. So how did they get along?
They got along pretty good. They didn't have, any issues because she would come out when she felt like it. But yeah, for the most part, they got along pretty good. It was good.
What was the age difference?
The younger one was the same age as Diamond, and then the older one was a year older.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they kind of like the same school?
No, they lived in different counties. Okay. Yeah, we were in Wake, they were in Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what would what was some of the advice that you would give to other stepmoms who are just coming on the scene? They're just they found this guy, he found her, they fell in love, and now he's got 2 kids, she's got 1 kid, or whatever, and they got to blend their families together. Having been going through this, what were some of the things, the pitfall? Let's talk about the pitfall. What are some of the things that you did that you would advise other people not to do, and as they start on this journey?
Make space for the mom and the dad to make the decisions that need to be made. One thing I struggle with, because I do this work in mental health professionally, and I deal with it in my personal life. When these issues began to arise, I immediately wanted to fix this. Like, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to do it. And this is what we need to do. And this is how we need to do it. And then I got frustrated when those things were not carried out. So after a while, I was so frustrated with it, I had to take myself in a corner and sit on down like, you know what? At the end of the day, these are their children, right? And it's their responsibility to make these calls and to make these decisions. And so as much as I want to try to fix this right now, I had to step back. And I think having the ability to do that is very important, because if you're a mom in any capacity, you have a natural sense of helping and wanting to fix things, right? Yes. Especially when you love, right? I love these kids, right? And so when I see an issue happening, I'm solution based anyway. Don't bring me a problem if you don't have a solution on the back end of it.
You're gonna find it.
Because we're gonna find we're gonna work this thing out.
Right.
So one of my major advices would be to allow the parents to make the decisions. We can give suggestions, right? But ultimately, it boils down to what they decide to do.
Right. So a big issue is, how do you, I want to use the right word, when there's discipline that needs to happen, when there's punishment for whatever, misbehaving, not doing the homework, how did y'all come up with a solution where both parents, step parents as well as the third parent, was on the same page dealing with disciplinary action, whether it's your child or whether it's the stepkids? How did y'all
manipulate them? Not manipulate. How do y'all manage that?
That's challenging.
Yes.
It really is, because everybody has a different parenting style.
Mm-hmm.
And we all come from different upbringings. I came up when kids were seen and not heard.
Right.
You went somewhere and sat down and you did what you were told.
Right.
Right. However, I don't parent that way today. I don't even believe in that. Right. I believe that children need to be heard. Children need to be respected. Just like you want them to respect us, we have to respect them. And so my parenting style was completely different from his parenting style, and how they upbring their children,
right,
from how I upbring mine. Right. So we had a lot of talks and conversation around that, because they are not my children.
Right.
Right. The discipline falls on him.
Right.
And how he chooses to discipline. I'm going to have a talk about it, right, and how I feel about it. But ultimately, that's his decision.
Okay, now enforcing of that, okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about spanking.
Right.
None of that. Okay, she was supposed to
clean her room. And she didn't. Mm-hmm.
And he's away working or whatever. You're there. Mm-hmm. You know what she's supposed to be doing.
Right.
Would you approach her and tell her, and what would her response be?
Absolutely. See, I think you have to set the boundaries from the door, though. You see what I'm saying? Because what you do at home might not fly over here. Right. Because we had that issue too.
Right.
You know, and this house going to be clean. Mm-hmm. It's going to be neat. You're going to clean your body and keep your body clean and neat, because that's what a young lady should do. Mm-hmm. And so those boundaries were set from onset, right? And so the issues she would have at home with her mom, she didn't have at our house. She was a completely different child.
And they know how to do that.
And kids know how to maneuver that way. They know what they can get away with, when they can get away with it. And so I think if you set the boundaries from the beginning, I think it'll run a lot smoother. But again, a lot of this requires, and all hands down, you have to be able to communicate. You're not going to be able to get through this thing unless you are able to talk and have a decent conversation about the challenges that you're facing.
So another challenging question. Did they ever say, "You're not my mom"?
They never had to. I always said it first.
Okay.
And whenever we would have a conversation about whatever it was, you know, I would always start off by, I know I'm not your mother, but these are what my expectations are while you're here.
Yeah.
And I want us to get along, and I want us to do well together. And I'm here, and I want the very best for you. Wow. Just like I would want the very best for my own children. I'm not placing you separate, but I want you to be a part of.
So you took the wind out of the sail before the wind got to the sail.
Absolutely.
Because you know they're thinking, if they don't say it, you're not my mom, you're not my dad.
And that's because, and I have a lot, I understand it from their perspective, because I had a stepmother at a young age, right? And she was phenomenal. Oh my goodness, this lady was just amazing, treated us like gold. But I remember feeling like that, like, you're not my mother. You ain't gonna tell me nothing. I got plenty of spankings behind my mouth with her. But, you know, as an adult person now, she was amazing. Like, she loved us beyond measure, you know, and we felt that, and she showed us that. And so when I think about my role as a stepmother, I often think about how she did us, right? And what I want, if it was my child, how I want my daughter to be treated, and how I want her to feel by another woman.
Wow. So how did you ever feel left out, like when y'all was together and you and your daughter and him and his kids? Did y'all ever feel like there was a separation? You go to you and your daughter go to your corner, him and his kids go to their corner. What was that like? Was there ever a moment where you felt not together as a family, even though you were a family, but there was a separation? And if you did, how did you deal with it?
I think the only time I really felt like that when it was, decisions that had to be made without me, right? And so you feel like an outsider in that because you're almost you are, right? Because here you are, you're just as equally responsible for this child while they're in their care, but then there comes points and times when decisions need to be made. You have to own your place, right? And kind of step outside and let the parents make those types of decisions. So I think for me, it was mostly in those times that's when I was like, okay, these are not my children. As much as I love them and care for them, I am an outside person, trying to love them as best I can.
Right. How did that work out with the extended parents, his extended family? You're not the mom.
Right.
You're the bonus mom. You're the stepmom. You're the other mother. How did his family, his mom, his siblings respond to you and to your kids?
Well, I think they were pretty okay. I think the only time we had an issue was with his oldest daughter. We had kind of got into a little spat, and she stopped speaking to him. And so they kind of made it my fault,
Right. Okay.
And I was okay with that. If you need to blame somebody, it's fine. But eventually, everyone came around, and, I think sometimes when people are upset or hurting, it's easier to put the blame on someone else.
And because sometimes the kids, like, maybe they blame themselves for their mom and dad breaking up. Or maybe they blame the other mother. The stepmom, because, maybe they had something going on before.
Yep, there's a whole lot of situations that. Yeah.
So now the kids are really not embracing you at all because they hold you responsible to some degree as to why the breakup happened. And now you just broke up with my mom and dad, and now I'm supposed to come over
and be okay
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I bet that could be challenging. I think the situation for us was, in one of the girls' minds, she wanted their family dynamic back. You know what I mean? And I think just as time went on, realizing and understanding that wasn't going to be something that happened.
Right.
And again, my focus is always, I want the best for them. At the end of the day, whatever I can do to assist in your mental health, your well-being, your emotional state, your emotional growth and development is what I try to focus, in on.
So what are some of the advantages of having two full parents working together as opposed to having two parents working together? And how do you make that happen intentionally?
Well, I think going into it, just really having an understanding, it's a team effort. We have to work together. We can't be all over the place because that's not going to benefit the children. If they see us on a team approach to best benefit them, not only are our relationship going to thrive, but their relationship, their well-being is going to excel. When they see everybody at the cheerleading match or everybody at the football game supporting them, rooting and cheering, and and I think what's important too is if there is an issue amongst the adults, I think that needs to be put behind closed doors. The children shouldn't be privy to that.
I was at an incident where I seen, there was a breakup, a husband and wife, and their wife got married again, and the husband got married again. And at this basketball game, they were both there.
Everybody there.
And now the ex-husband and the father now are talking to one another.
Yes.
And they're talking to the son together. And the moms are there together. I'm thinking, this is a powerful statement.
Yes, it is.
That it could be just the opposite.
Right.
But in this particular thing, I was like, wow. Because those two fathers, those two men probably would not have been in the same space together,
Right.
had it not been that football game
Again.
or that basketball game.
Right.
And they were there, and this kid is sitting there eating it up because I got 4 brothers now.
Right, that care about me.
Yeah. And they are on the same page, and they're all telling this kid, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And I walked away from that. I said, man, that's a powerful statement.
And how that's empowering the child too, to have that, to be able to say, wow, both of the men that I love in my life are here for me.
Right.
Wow. And both of the women that I love in my life are here for me.
Wow.
And if we can get away from our own personal feelings, we'll be okay.
Right.
I think a lot of the mess comes from, and the messiness comes from, because everyone is really just thinking about themselves, and if the relationship is over, let it be over and focus on the children.
But it's hard.
It can be.
Especially if you are a woman and this woman was involved in your husband.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different situation, right?
But you still have now, whatever happened, they're together now, and your kids is going to come over to his house. And now you've got to deal with this woman. For the man, you got to deal with this man that maybe because of your breaking up.
They're breaking up.
And but for the sake of the kids,
you have to put yourself.
We have to put yourself, step back and say, and it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, and it is. Get some therapy. I'll make that suggestion. Get you a counselor so you can deal with your stuff and the breakup and however that happened.
Right.
Yeah. That's what we have therapy for. Life coaches for.
Yeah. And then your anger and your frustration now is shared. You share it to your children, which they're all on the same page with not going to be there. Right. And now you got a situation
and that's
not healthy for nobody. Give us some of your final observations and your final thoughts that you want to share with stepmom. We call it the other mother.
Yeah.
And in closing, give us some of your, your intelligence, your knowledge, wisdom.
I would say on this particular topic, make sure going in that you are up for this challenge, because it is not going to be easy. It's easy to love a man. It is. But when you have to share that man with children, that's a different level, because now you're bringing in children, other personalities, other issues, different things that they may have going on. Make sure it is something that you want to do, because you're going to have to get in there and really put in some work to build a relationship, to blend the family, to build a rapport with them, as well as their mom. And so sometimes women are going to this thing like, I ain't got to deal with that mama, I ain't got to deal with their mama. Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do. Because if they're going to be spending time with you, you need to make a phone call.
Yeah.
And you got to find out what's going on with them. What's their well-being? What are they like when they're home? Different things like that. So don't go into it if you're not willing to deal with their mama, right? Go into it understanding that they have a mom and that you're going to have to work on building a rapport and a relationship with her. And if you love their father, you have to love everything that's attached to him.
Well, thank you so much, Cerise.
Thank you.
For being
Thank you. This was awesome. I appreciate it.
Here's 3 ways you can support our Dads at a Distance initiative. Give a copy to a family member, a friend. Donate monthly, a book monthly, 5 books monthly, how many books you want to do monthly donation. Reverse book signing, your church, your business. You can make a donation go to our website at www.afatherforever.com and go to our PayPal at Fathers Forever. Our Cash App is $Fathers Forever. Make your donation today. Please include in the note section, include DAAD. Again, include in the note section DAAD. Wow, what a powerful broadcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you really got something out of what we was trying to convey today about the bonus mom, the stepmom, and how working together, both the birth mom, the father, the stepdad, the stepmom, can all work together to make this child, these kids, very successful. Instead of having two parents now, they have four parents. And working together is very important. So we had this in mind as we did this broadcast to make sure that people do divorce, marriage, people do get married again. They are the blended family. So let's take advantage of this. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. Enjoy yourself. And until next time, we'll see you again.
If you or someone you know would like to be a part of the show, please visit our website at www.afatherforever.com or call us at 919-779-9905. The Chat and Chew podcast streams Thursdays at 12 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook. To schedule a reverse book signing or to find out more information about how you can become a part of the programs you heard us mention today, please be sure to stop by our website as well.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Father Forever University. My name is Glenn Warren, and I will be your instructor. Father Forever University is a remote learning experience where we take our 12-week class, and we meet here every Thursday night from 6 until 7, and we talk about fatherhood. We talk about domestic violence. We talk about where your child support money is going. We teach classes about fatherhood and how important it is to be in your child's life. So these 12 weeks is going to be very important for you guys to understand and the concept of fatherhood and what we're trying to teach you. Father Forever University is broken down into 12 weeks, and you can start at any time during those 12 weeks. The key to it is finishing those 12 weeks. Every lesson is in lecture format, where you listen to that lecture, and then on Thursday nights, we discuss that lecture. The Thursday night discussion is where your homework will be due. Part of your homework assignment every Thursday night is to, one, we're going to ask you the question, what did you learn? And the second question, how am I going to apply what I learned? We also have specific assignments for each lesson in the notes below. This has been an introduction into Father Forever University. Now let's get started in lesson 1.